So I did mention that Long Wharf extends 2,000 feet off the original shoreline. I'm going to tell you what I mean by original, because the city of Boston today looks very different than it did when it was settled by the Puritans. So when the Puritans did arrive in 1630, they soon realized that the soil here in New England was not going to be very good for farming. So they needed to look to the sea and to the harbor in order to make a living. So they originally settled on what was called the Shawmut Peninsula, and Shawmut is a Native American word for living waters. There were 3 hills that sat atop that peninsula, and they had freshwater springs that ran down the side of them. So that's how it got the name Living Waters. But what they decided to do was a process called wharfing out in order to expand the land. And in very simple terms, what that meant was they actually pushed the dirt from those 3 hills right into Boston Harbor in order to expand the land. And this happened throughout the city of Boston for many, many years. And today, 3/4 of the city, or 75% of the city of Boston, is built on artificial or man-made land. So quite incredible. And I will show you what 2,000 feet looks like when we're coming back into Long Wharf a little bit later. So the first thing I'll point out off our starboard side is a rusted metal bridge. And this is the Northern Avenue Bridge, and this was designed in 1905 by a group of students from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And this is one of 2 turnstile bridges that we have here in the harbor. We will see the other one later on once we get to Charlestown. But just beyond the Northern Avenue Bridge, this is where on December 16th, 1773, a group of patriots disguised as Mohawk Indians boarded 3 vessels. They boarded the Eleanor, the Beaver, and the Dartmouth. And they proceeded to dump 92,000 pounds of tea from the British East India Company into Boston Harbor. So we know this today, of course, as the Boston Tea Party. So those colonists were dumping that tea in protest of taxation by the British government without allowing them to have representatives in Parliament. As you can imagine, the government over in England was quite upset with the colonists for what they had done here, so they did decide to punish the city of Boston. And they did this by declaring martial law here in the city and also closing the port of Boston to all commerce. Their thinking was that if they could hurt the colonists in their pocket, in their wallet, that they would eventually comply with their taxation policies. We do know that things didn't quite work out that way, because here we are in 2016 as the United States of America, a completely independent nation. So we are making our way towards Southie, or South Boston. And you're noticing the red brick building with a sloped glass wall. That is the Joseph Moakley Federal Courthouse. And that glass wall was designed to represent transparency in our judicial system. So there are 40 parking spaces underneath that building, one for each of the judges that work there. So right now we are entering what's called the Innovation District, which is a part of South Boston. And this was the brainchild of our late Mayor Thomas Menino. So he envisioned a waterfront here in South Boston that would be a magnet for innovative companies. So you'll notice the Vertex building right at the beginning of the Innovation District. And that's that very tall glass building with a triangle at the top of it. So Vertex is a pharmaceutical company, and they do a lot of research on cancers as well as cystic fibrosis. And they were the first to arrive here to the Innovation District. They consolidated about 11 offices from Cambridge, Massachusetts, just up the road here to the South Boston waterfront. And they're soon going to be joined by General Electric, or GE. GE is the largest company to ever relocate here to the city of Boston, and they'll be coming to us from Fairfield, Connecticut. So they're valued at over $290 billion. So we are very, very excited to have them join us here in the South Boston waterfront. It's going to bring a lot of opportunity